Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, isn't that interesting? I guess it looks like Kevin O'Leary might have had a point. The other day he said this.
Now, the criticism that you started your narrative with was, how come she hasn't taken an interview yet? And I'll tell you exactly why. Fundraising is paramount right now, and she is knocking out the lights in low amounts and in high amounts. And so with her strategists last week, they decided they're not going to go in front of any press. They don't have to. They're going to get the euphoria of today. They will dominate the airwaves and social media today, right in to the convention, suck the air out of all the media then, and raise another, hopefully, $200 million.
The left said he's a conspiracy theorist, a right-wing actor. Give me a frickin' break, he is totally right. It's been an observation since day one of Kamala Harris's campaign launch. There's actually no substance here, or rather, probably a better way to describe it. The actual substance, the stuff that Kamala Harris plans to do when she finally gets her hands on that power that she's been so craving, well, a lot of it isn't so popular. In fact, I'd argue that if most people knew what she was all about, she would be deemed and labeled unelectable. So they're purposely trying to hide the policy. That explains the lack of substance. They don't want to make promises, none of that, nothing policy related. They just want hype and buzz, and of course they just want donations. And now it seems people are finally catching on. Let's have a conversation about phony Kamala. We've got some stuff to get into. So let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so I guess we aren't the only ones noticing this interesting fact about Kamala Harris. Just this morning as I'm waking up, I'm hit with this article from the New Yorker that exposes a very interesting fact about Kamala Harris's campaign page. Take a look at this. How generic can Kamala Harris be? The vice president has answered few direct questions since becoming the presumptive nominee. This is probably good for her campaign, but not for voters. The author of this article, J. Caspian Kang, then goes on to make quite the observation. Take a look at this little excerpt. Harris's campaign website, meanwhile, does not have a policy section or an articulation of her beliefs. There's just a button to donate, some merch and some yard signs, and a biography that describes her as the daughter of parents who brought her to civil rights marches in a stroller. So in the end, upon examining Kamala Harris's campaign website, you can find 7 donation buttons and exactly 0 in terms of policy. Literal nothing. She's running for president of the United States and she doesn't even have a platform. At least she doesn't have a public platform. Not exactly surprising as a Democrat. We know they have public policies and then they have private policies, but in this case, they have just a private policy and they're just going to avoid any concerns relating to policy by simply not releasing anything 3 months ahead of election day. This headline from the Federalist, I think, really describes how I and many people are feeling. Operation Harris is one of the shadiest in media history. People can obviously sense it, and obviously the facts back it up. I kept playing that clip of that young Gen Z TikToker speaking her mind in a vlog-style video where she says, I'm going to support Kamala Harris, but this whole thing certainly feels like propaganda. It feels very manufactured. Well, obviously, it was only a matter of time until this strategy would backfire. People are waking up and asking themselves the questions, yay Kamala, yay Kamala. Wait, why exactly are we doing this? I think that kind of accurately describes the timeline over the last 2.5 weeks. It's finally the moment of sober realization. Kamala Harris stands for literally nothing. I mean, honestly, when she's speaking, you can sit there listening for an hour and by the end of it feel as though nothing was actually said.
Balance. And then the outcome will be fair. And isn't that what we're talking about in this here election? Yes. We're saying we just want fairness. We want dignity for all people. We want to recognize the right all people have to freedom and liberty, to make choices, especially those that are about heart and home, and not have their government telling them what to do. Our campaign is about saying we trust the people. We see the people. We know the people. One of the things I love about our country? We are a nation of people who believe in those ideals that were foundational to what made us so special as a nation.
A whole bunch of empty platitudes, but nothing of actual substance. It's almost like she's trying to play a movie character or something, with this weird Hollywood script that doesn't actually go into anything. Just, we will do the thing and unite the people and strive for a greater tomorrow. She's not actually saying how she's going to do anything. She's just saying nice, fluffy sounding things, and people eventually are going to start to realize that. Kamala's got nothing. And not only does she have no substance, but she's got no credibility. She's literally the vice president of the United States, serving under the current president. She's the current administration. And she's out here saying stuff like this.
Because while our economy is doing well by many measures, prices for everyday things like groceries are still too high. You know it and I know it. You know, when I was Attorney General, I went after price-fixing schemes. And when I am president, it will be a day one priority to fight to bring down prices. I will take on big corporations that engage in illegal price gouging. I will take on corporate landlords that unfairly raise rents on working families. I will take on big pharma and cap the cost of prescription drugs for all Americans.
She's going to solve the inflation crisis, and now she's actually running on border security.
Kamala Harris has spent decades fighting violent crime. As a border state prosecutor, she took on drug cartels and jailed gang members for smuggling weapons and drugs across the border. As vice president, she backed the toughest border control bill in decades. And as president, she will hire thousands more border agents and crack down on fentanyl and human trafficking. Fixing the border is tough. So is Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Kamala Harris is going to take on the cartels and human smugglers. I mean, what am I watching? She's talking about doing all of these things as if she needs to get elected to do all of these things. Her and Joe Biden could do all of this tomorrow. They could have done it the last 4 years. Is really nobody realizing that? I think a lot of people got blinded and excited looking at Kamala as a shiny new toy, but Kamala is anything but. They're trying to market her as a new young Democrat. She's 60 years old and the current serving vice president. She's the most established Democrat there is, or at least one of them. And we know that she's a disaster, but some people somehow got convinced, at least for a short period of time, hopefully, that she's new or represents something new. There's nothing new in all the things that people were hoping for or expecting, all these new, more far-left things that she would bring to the table as a more progressive candidate. Well, even those things aren't happening, as she's now being forced to run as your typical corporate Democrat. Kamala Harris on day one as being announced as the future presidential nominee literally had to overnight almost rescind her entire personal policy platform and just get on board with the frickin' agenda. It's a fraud. She's a fraud. They're lying to you. They're trying to hide it from you. They just don't want you to know. This has been one of the shadiest media-driven campaigns in American history. And I mean, holy moly, just to end the video here, her website has no policy and 7 donation buttons. There's no actual pitch. It's all frickin' Hollywood. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.